One of us is the werewolf. Let's get straight into that. I always had an overactive imagination. And yeah, I could get over-emotional. Not to mention I was always fucking weird. So, I guess I couldn't blame the people of Stanwyck, Georgia, when they didn't believe a werewolf killed my family. No, not many people believed me. Ashley Nelson, the quiet geek, a tall, fit black girl, even then, I was lonely and constantly alienated by my classmates. My long wavy black hair and my big brown eyes always besieged by restless mannerisms. Regardless of my quirky fashion and cute glasses, I had a social anxiety I could never harness. A low self-esteem I constantly struggled with, and a quick temper I constantly suppressed. But on that awful April night, my issues were overshadowed by tragedy. At 16, what little innocence I had was forever shattered. The police came to my house around midnight, way too late to save my parents or younger brother Chris from the monster. Way too late to save me from the paralysing trauma. Our house was a mess. A crime scene closer to a slasher movie than anything resembling real life. Blood and flesh were our new wallpaper. Severed limbs and scattered organs our new furniture. This was a redecoration job sculpted by slaughter. And I was the sole survivor. Found cowering alone in my room, covered in blood and a few cuts. No bruises, no serious injuries. And yet the police, they didn't believe my story. Hardly anyone believed me when I said a werewolf killed my family. But ultimately, I wasn't charged for the massacre. Instead, I was set free to the wild, free to an unforgiving public. After the summer, my senior year crawled by. Now, living with my grandparents, I really had no one to turn to. Not my parents, not Chris. I was alone and against the world. Even my grandma and granddaddy never talked to me. Like prison guards, they just kept watch over me behind suspicious glares. And then again, so did all the Stanwyck High. I was a girl who literally cried wolf. Now, I was even more hated by my classmates, even more ostracised, and needless to say, my teachers and counsellors were less than supportive. In the span of a few months, I had gone from being ignored to outright despised, from alienated Ashley to the wolf girl. Anonymous internet death threats became normal, as did all those dirty looks in public. I was constantly called wolf bitch by Carol Lane and her preppy best mates. I guess I should have been glad I was never charged. There was no evidence against me. I talked to the cops and I told them what happened. How I could do nothing but run to my bedroom. That's by the time the werewolf ripped open Chris's innards. My parents were long dead and I could do nothing. I couldn't help it if I was lucky enough to survive. While I escaped the lycanthrope, I couldn't escape the suspicion. I heard everyone's excuses, everyone's theories. I heard them whispered behind closed doors, shouted on TV, or in all caps on Reddit. All the stories that I was a crazy geek who enjoyed horror movies a little too much. Nobody believed me except my boyfriend, Patrick. He was soulful and introspective, with messy brown hair and bright green eyes. Patrick was cute and quirky. The same height as me, 5'8", and total weirdo as well. Even so skinny, he still had a nice body. And to top it off, Patrick loved writing scary stories. I guess our shared creativity helped fuel our passionate relationship. Not to mention our shared love of horror. Patrick had actually been at my house before I saw the werewolf. He left before nightfall, before the monster left my family in pieces. And like me, Patrick had been questioned by the police, and also suspected by almost everyone here in Stanwyck. The constant hatred made Patrick and I feel like outlaws at 17. But we did the best we could. Through it all, I loved Patrick and always depended on him, especially since he was the only person who believed me. Patrick was my therapy, and of course, the sex was passionate. Patrick made sure of that, but through all the negativity, we had each other, and that was all that I needed. By the middle of September, Patrick and I were surviving a torturous prison sentence that was senior a year, and we were doing okay. Until Carol Lane got a hold of us. Right after third block, she stopped us during our march to the library. "Hey, Ashley," Carol's playful southern accent yelled. Helpless, Patrick and I stopped right outside the library, cornered by Carol. Under the dim lighting, we knew no one would be near the library or its long, untouched books to help us. Like a gang leader, Carol led her army toward us. All of them were dressed in uniform, all of them tight name-brand ripped jeans and even tighter name-brand shirts. There was Carol Lane in her blonde-haired, blue-eyed Southern Belle glory. Carol, the future prom queen, future valedictorian, and current bitch. Her boyfriend, Roy, nothing more than an eye-candy distraction. He was a dumber and taller version of Carol, complete with big muscles, curly blonde hair and flawless skin. Just the type of meathead dunce Carol would likely dump after graduation for smarter, hotter men. Behind the couple lurked their hangers-on, Frank, Jean and Becky. Frank and Jean were the B-list couple to Stanwyck High royalty, like Carol and Roy. Yeah, they were attractive, but not quite as hot and rich as their idols. Frank was pale, with dark hair, social but too corny and silly to be funny. Jean was a light-skinned black girl with big glasses, strong-willed with long, lean figure. And then there was Becky. I figured she was the ugly one of the bunch, but then again, with her long, coiffed black hair, I guess she was kind of cute, behind the extra pounds and thick makeup. Probably could be much prettier if her self-esteem or fame from being Carol's childhood friend would allow it. Or if Becky wasn't such a grade A. "We just wanted to invite y'all to my party," Carol told us. She exchanged smiles with Roy. "Just a little get-together at my house." "Yeah, it'll be fun," Becky chimed in, excitement in her squeaky voice. Carol shined her glowing blue eyes towards me. "We'd like to get to know you more, Ashley." Showing remorse, she paused. "A fresh start." Nervous, I looked at Patrick. I like to think I wasn't starstruck by these assholes, but I was. I couldn't say a word, couldn't tell Carol and her cronies what a pack of assholes they'd been, nor could I tell them to fuck off. Instead, my mind went blank. Honestly, I had always had a hard time standing up for myself, much less when I was being confronted by Stanwyck High royalty. Patrick just flashed me a confident grin, totally unfazed by the cool kids. "Maybe we should go," he said. He helped me shake off the silence. "I don't know," I said. I faced Carol. "It's at your house?" "Yeah," Carol answered with equal parts friendliness and exuberance. "It'll be chill, I promise." I hesitated. "I don't know." I could feel the clique's collective pretty eyes beaming on me like spotlights. "Just let me think about it." With a delicate but persuasive touch, Patrick squeezed my hand. "Nah, we'll go." Struggling to suppress my anxiety, I glared at Patrick, but his confident smile, his sheer handsomeness, crushed my anger. Carol and her gang lit up with smiles of perfect white teeth. "Good," Carol said. "Be at my house around 5. Still conflicted, I confronted Carol. "That's kind of early, isn't it?" I asked. "Not really," she replied. Carol glanced at her comrades for the support she could always count on. "That's what time we usually start." "Yeah, that gives us more time to party," Jean added. "For sure," I heard Becky squeal. To my dismay, Patrick didn't fight back. "Well, we'll be there," he said. My self-conscious insecurities kept me from groaning right there on the spot. Not only was I a prisoner at Stanwyck High, now I'd be trapped at Carol's house on a Friday night. Before I could persuade Patrick, Carol rode her gang off into the sunset, back to the wilderness of our high school cafeteria. "We'll see y'all there," Carol yelled towards us. For emphasis, Roy let out a playful howl. A call of the idiots. "Patrick, what the hell was that?" I muttered, annoyed. Patrick smiled at me. His cuteness a temporary remedy for my dread. "What?" he said. "It's just a party, babe." "A party from hell," I grumbled. Patrick's left hand caressed my face. "Look, we'll have fun, alright?" I got lost in his green eyes, yet another cure for my constant worry. "And if it sucks, we'll just leave early," Patrick continued. I guess he had a point. From what I'd heard, Carol had a Lake Douglas mansion, an isolated fortress by water, and she also had a shitload of Jose Cuervo. At the very least, Patrick and I could attend for the booze, and hopefully get too fucked up to have to deal with any of Carol's bullshit. So, I let Patrick drive us over there. His car was easily the ugliest one in the long paved driveway, but we didn't care. By now, both Patrick's chill mood and a little pre-gaming helped me relax. Walking hand in hand, Patrick led me up to Carol's garage door, right past all the lovely cars and cute lawn ornaments. Like a South Georgia Hollywood, Lake Douglas had hills, privacy, and a variety of million-dollar views. And Carol's two-story house was no exception to the neighborhood's luxurious standards. Inside, I was surprised by the low-key party. Not that it was lame or lacking, it was just more chill than I expected. Instead of sorority like antics or frat house theatrics, all of us just sat in the living room's many recliners and sofas. Just me, Patrick, Carol, and the rest of her tight-knit clique. The five of them still wore their expensive uniforms, while Patrick and I rocked our colourful thrift shop finds. My Caribbean blouse a stark contrast to their pretty blandness. On a huge flat screen, top 40 music videos played at a low volume. In the corner, a small bar featured Carol's notorious treasure chest of alcohol. A hallway connected the living room to all the bedrooms. Small town ornaments gave the house a wholesome charm, while large picture frames showed off photos of Carol and her eternally on vacation parents. The frames represented a sprawling chronology of Carol Lane from innocent baby to conceited teenager. The booze was potent, strong, absolutely fucking amazing. It wasn't PBR or Natty Light. You got what you paid for here at Lake Douglas. Throughout the party, everyone stayed in their zones. Outside of pedestrian conversations, no one amongst us outcasts and preps dared cross over to the other side. Not that I minded. As the hours went by, Patrick and I were having fun just chilling and listening to music. Around 7, I stole a glance out the window. The sun was beginning to fade, and once darkness hit, I suspected Carol's calm garden party would turn into a rowdy nightclub. One I was eager to escape. Carol stood up and muted the flat screen. All eyes went to her as she placed her humongous purse on top of the TV. Like she was ready to deliver a toast, Carol held up a red plastic cup. "I'm glad everyone could make it tonight." She displayed a wicked smile. "We have quite the special event in store." Confused, I faced Patrick. "Special event?" I asked, my voice louder due to the booze. Cackling, Roy pointed at us. "It's just for you, Ashley." "Just for Ashley," Jean shouted with drunken enthusiasm. The anxiety roared through me, even though the liquor... "Patrick, what are you talking about?" Patrick's hand caressed my arm, but not even that could soothe my swirling unease. "It's okay, babe," he said. Carol motioned towards the windows. "Becky, close the blinds." At Carol's command, Becky lowered all the heavy blinds, squashing the stray sunlight. Few ceiling lights were now our only solace in this upper-class cavern. Awkward, I looked all around us, Carol's gang now gathered by the TV. I don't understand," I said. I looked at Patrick's calm face. "What's going on?" His grip tightened around my arm. "Babe, just relax." "No!" I pulled away from him and confronted the preps. "What the hell is this?" "We're trying to help you, Ashley," Carol said in a moderate but authoritative tone. Roy pulled Carol in toward him. "Yeah, we've got to catch a werewolf." Like a laugh track, all the friends forced a chuckle. I placed my cup on the floor and stood up, my mind somewhere between outraged and intrigued. Is this a fucking joke? I asked. My voice came off. I was nothing more than an intimidated mess. Sensing my unease, Patrick grabbed my hand. Babe, they're serious. What? Patrick stood next to me. I already talked to them, Ash. They want to help. That's all they want to do. He leaned in closer. I know you weren't lying, babe. I always knew, and now we're going to prove it. Carol strutted up to us. At first, I didn't believe you. She stopped right in front of me, her poise the polar opposite of my defensive demeanour. But then I figured it out. We all did, Jean added. So you've seen him? I asked, excited. I stole a look at the lineup of the cool kids. For once, even Roy was serious. Y'all really believe me? Yep, Becky retorted. We know the truth, Ashley, Carol said. A werewolf did kill your family. Feeling relief, I struggled to suppress my tears. My emotions went wild. It wasn't your fault, Carol added. Reassuring me, Patrick kissed my temple. I told you, babe. Carol walked towards her purse. But there's only one thing. What? I asked. Veering from the polite host to wicked competitor, Carol confronted me. One of us is the werewolf. A deathly quiet overtook the room, the entire house. No one said a word. Not a sliver of a smirk on any of their attractive faces. I didn't know whether to laugh or cringe or hell, even shiver. I looked over at Patrick. I don't understand. What the fuck? Nah, it's cool, Patrick replied. She's serious. Through the confusion, I couldn't respond. Couldn't do anything except just stand there. I did a little investigating, Carol said. She reached inside her purse. None of us had an alibi for that night. I stepped towards her. But how do you know someone is a werewolf? The sight of Carol pulling out a pistol made me stop dead in my tracks. The weapon was old, but in mint condition. A real Colt 45 revolver, one fully capable of taking out all 7 of us. Oh shit! I yelled. No one else looked surprised. They didn't even flinch. And deep in my unsettled gut, I realized they expected the gun. You're fine, Ashley, Carol said in a cool voice. She placed the gun right next to her purse. There's already silver bullets in it. So what? I struggled to say through shivers. You're just going to shoot whoever changes? Carol's face took on a new layer of intensity. A southern belle gone mad. Exactly, she said. I scanned the scene for help, but like a morbid Greek chorus, everyone wore the same somber expressions. Even Patrick. His green eyes now looked darker, hazier, as if the party's sudden shift had subdued his soul. But this is crazy, I said. Supportive Patrick grabbed my hand. You'll be safe, babe. Unless she's the werewolf, Becky blurted out with glee. I wanted to call her an ugly bitch, but I didn't. Not when everyone kept staring at me. Patrick glared at Becky. That could be any one of us. Annoyed, Becky pointed at me. Well, she's the one who survived. I put my money on her. And what if it's you, huh? Patrick yelled. What if you killed her family? His burst of a response silenced Becky. But it didn't stop those harsh stares stuck on us. Look, just calm down, Carol said. She strolled up next to Roy. We'll just wait and see. She looked towards the windows. Even with the blinds blanketing the darkness, I could tell nighttime was upon us. I could feel it. Once the full moon's at its peak, we'll open the blinds, Carol continued. She confronted me. Then we'll see the werewolf, Ashley. Just like you did. Trembling, I backed away. No, we need to go. But Patrick held me there. Patrick, I said. He looked into my eyes. You need to see, Ashley. I struggled to pull away but had no chance at escaping his staunch grip. No! Let go of me! Ashley, please! His emerald eyes begged me to stay. They made me a prisoner to the party. You need closure, Patrick told me in a gentle tone. You can't keep running away. I looked at everyone else. Carol's clique was cooler than ever. Each and every one of them showed no weakness, no fear. Tonight, everyone will believe you, Ash, Patrick said. You don't have to be afraid. I looked back at him. They'll believe you, he said, just like I do. Carol clapped, grabbing everyone's attention. All right, I think it's time. Will you do the honors, Becky? Staying close to Patrick, I watched Becky step towards the first window. A dread rather than anticipation built up inside of me. Roy grabbed a hold of Carol's hand. Wait, do we have to do it right now? He asked, unease piercing through his confidence. Annoyed, Carol pulled away from him. Yeah. With subtle panic, Roy snatched Becky's arm. Hey, just wait a fucking sec. Frank gave him a weird look. Dude, what's wrong? Like a defensive animal, Roy staggered back towards the hallway. A defiant glare overtook his handsome face. Shit, nothing, alright? I just think we should wait until later. Carol watched him with nothing but sheer suspicion. Why? The full moon's already out, dumbass. God damn it, Carol, Roy shouted. Just fucking listen to me. Scoffing, Carol pushed Becky over towards the window. Nah, fuck that. I watched Becky stop in front of the window. Clear unease made her hesitate, and I couldn't blame her. Look, I just wanted us to be safe, Roy said to Carol, his voice featuring more rage than concern. I felt Patrick wrap his arm around me. What are you so afraid of, Roy? Patrick held at him. Startled, everyone looked at my boyfriend, shocked to hear him challenge one of Stanwyck's prized jocks. Roy glowered. Hey, you and your creepy-ass girlfriend can shut the fuck up. Jean pushed Frank over towards Roy. I don't need your creeps accusing me of shit, Roy continued. My tower of anxiety grew even higher. Hey, leave her alone, arsehole, Patrick yelled at Roy. Trying to play peacemaker, Frank grabbed Roy's arm. Dude, chill. Roy broke away from him. Nah, man, fuck that. He went for the gun. I ain't doing this shit. Concerned, Carol rushed towards him. Roy! Roy's glare latched onto me, especially with that crazy bitch. Motherfucker! Patrick yelled. He lunged at Roy, but I held him back. All the while, the anger boiled up inside of me, but no matter what, I couldn't unleash it. I couldn't let my inner beast out. Rather than exposing my fury within, I could only stay silent in Patrick's arms. Right before Roy grabbed the gun, Carol snatched his wrist. What the hell's wrong with you? She shouted. Amidst their struggle, I saw Jean shove Frank towards them once more. Stop! Carol! Roy yelled. Like a guard restraining an asylum inmate, Frank ambushed Roy, grabbed both of his arms. Stop, man! Frank pleaded. Carol glared at Becky. Becky hadn't moved this whole time, too scared to raise the blinds. Open the blinds! Carol demanded. Carol's voice forced Becky out of her fearful state. Okay, she cried. And with a trembling hand, Becky reached towards the lift cord. Nervous, I looked at Patrick, but his stoic calmness failed to soothe me. No! Roy screamed at Becky. Frank struggled to hold him in place. God damn it, Roy! Be careful! The concerned Jean shouted at Frank. Becky grabbed the cord. With a scratchy snarl, Roy shoved Frank across the room. Frank! Jean cried. Startled, Becky collapsed against the wall. A scared mess who damn sure wasn't going to open those blinds now. In a terrifying display of strength, Roy turned and bolted for the hallway. His movements so manic, his howls murky and unsettling. My stomach sank to the floor. The noises harkened me back to the past trauma. Back to the werewolf's wails. Back to my family's tortured screams. What the fuck? Carol yelled. Jean helped Frank off the ground. Oh God, are you okay? She said, concerned. Then Roy's animalistic cries rang through the house. Nothing but his howls and snarls hit us on a horrifying loop. Acting on On simultaneous courage and stupidity, Frank snatched a gun. Jean reached towards him. "Frank!" "Just stay there," Frank said. He ran towards the hallway, straight towards another harrowing howl. "What the hell are you doing?" Carol cried after him. Within seconds, Frank had disappeared into the upper class jungle. The snarling and Frank's frenetic footsteps, all we could hear. "Frank!" Jean yelled. She stepped towards the hallway. Carol restrained her. "No, don't!" "Frank, come back!" Jean shouted. Like a timid soldier, I did my best to stagger off towards the window, further away from those sounds. At the corner of my eye, I saw Becky slouch to the ground. She covered her ears in a pathetic attempt to quash those nocturnal howls. Patrick looked towards me, worried. Ashley. A sudden scream surrounded us. A human scream. "No, Frank!" Jean yelled. Acting off adrenaline, she pushed Carol away and followed her boyfriend's cries. Carol pulled Becky off the ground. Carol's intense blue eyes zeroed in on me. "Come on!" Patrick grabbed a hold of my hand. Together, we followed after the two preps, Patrick and I lagging behind in this long, dark hallway. By now, Frank's screams had faded off into an unnerving silence. All I could hear was footsteps and the occasional guttural growl. Then a loud thud echoed towards us, and I could feel Patrick do the same. Up ahead, I saw Carol drag Becky through an open door on the left. "Come on, Ashley!" I heard Carol shout. At the open doorway, I felt Patrick let go of me. "Patrick!" I cried. Turning, I caught a brief glimpse of his uneasy face. "Babe," I stated. Carol's groomed hand yanked me inside. I stumbled inside the study. A large desk sat in the centre of the room. Several antique bookshelves lined up against the wall, all of them crammed with hardbacks and more cherished photos of Carol Lane. A huge window overlooked Lake Douglas. The blinds were lifted, revealing a glorious full moon shining upon us. Its beams so bright, the remnants strayed into the hallway. I stopped at the desk, right by Becky and Carol. Near the window, I saw Jean crying over a bloodied body. Frank was sprawled out like a red snow angel. Crimson ran all along his face and torn t-shirt. Frank, the victim of a most brutal attack. The revolver laid a few feet away, silver bullets and all. "Oh God!" Becky shouted. "He's dead!" Horrified, I turned towards the door in desperate search of Patrick. Carol snatched my arm in a death grip. "Ashley, look out!" Like a cheesy horror sound effect, a howl roared to life right behind me. One more befitting monster mash than an American Werewolf in London. Whirling around, I saw a creature rise up behind the desk. Roy had transformed. His face replaced by pointy ears, a long snout, and spurts of thick black fur, and two hungry red eyes. Snarling, he lunged at me. I screamed and tumbled to the ground, right by Frank's dead body. Another corny howl pierced my ears. Scared shitless, I reached for the gun, until I got a closer look at this teenage lycanthrope. Roy still had his flawless name-brand t-shirt and jeans, his muscular arms and legs completely unscathed by the excessive hair. Roy's howling shifted from campy spookiness to howling laughter. Then, more laughing surrounded me, and I now saw everyone was chuckling and pointing at me. Carol, Jean, Becky, even Frank sat up, the fake blood unable to drown out his mean-spirited cackle. "Oh shit! We got her!" Jean cried out. Like an invisible force, the heavy laughter combined with the mask's narrow eye sockets made Roy stagger against the desk. "Whoo-hoo!" he yelled. "That bitch got scared quick." I sat there, on the verge of tears. My self-conscious soul on the verge of suicide. The hurt sunk into my flesh like sharp hooks. I couldn't say anything. Carol pulled Jean off the ground. Frank, too, dominated by drunken amusement to even stand on his own. "Well," Carol began, trying to control her sadistic laughter. She pointed over at Roy. "There's your werewolf, Ashley." Leaving his mask on, Roy raised his arms and lumbered towards me, his act about as creepy as an intoxicated straggler leaving a Halloween party, his howls now obnoxious than ever. I cringed at a silly sight. "The girl who cried wolf," Jean quipped. "Indeed," Carol replied. Chuckling, Becky walked over towards the window, a closer glance at the full moon. "Yo got her good," she said to an audience of none. Still reeling from the scare, I crawled back towards the door. I realised teardrops were sliding down my face, and like always, I couldn't fight back. I really was going to weep like a scared child in front of the cool kids. The gang's giggling only grew louder, a laugh track well off the rails. A live studio audience for my pitiful state. With obnoxious glory, Carol pointed right at me. "Hey yo, she just saw another wolf." "Looks like it," Frank quipped. A booming snarl ended their laughter real quick. Now fear latched into all of them. Outright terror. Everyone watched the beast lunge into the study, a muscular werewolf walking on its furry hind legs. The creature's brown fur was brisk and spiky. Its ears long and slender, just like the monster's intimidating snout. In the room, the werewolf flashed us a smile of razor-sharp teeth, its eyes redder than the fake blood scattered across Frank's body. Only tattered clothes were stuck to the werewolf's army of fur. And, like huge retractable blades, eager claws extended out of its hands. I recognized those hipster clothes, and even from here I could tell the creature was exactly my height. Panicking, Roy grabbed Carol. "Oh fuck!" his muffled voice yelled through the mask. Before Carol could scream, one quick swipe from the creature declared a double decapitation. Carol and Roy's heads tumbled to the ground. The severed necks erupted like volcanoes of dark red gore. Roy's dying eyes looked on at me. Sticky blood covered the mask's cheap fur. The plastic ears now crooked and bent, his mask a pathetic counterpart to the real thing standing before us. I watched the other teens scream in horror, and for once I was glad my self-doubt kept me from taking action, especially since it kept me from helping these assholes. Right now, I was one entertained audience. There was Frank reaching for the Colt 45, only the werewolf's bare foot splattered Frank's head into a busted jack-o'-lantern of gooey flesh. Screaming, Jean and Becky rushed towards the door. The werewolf's bellowing snarl ushered them into a frenzied panic. Both girls kept stumbling into one another, their attempt at escape so sloppy. "Get out of my way, bitch!" Jean yelled. She pushed Becky back straight into the clutches of the creature. Becky cried out, "Ah!" A squeaky scream silenced once the werewolf jammed its paw straight down her throat. Blood sprayed across the monster's hungry face. It retrieved its paw in a quick flourish, yanking out all sorts of intestine. A goodie bag of Becky's organs. Becky's corpse hit the floor, her mouth agape in a huge oval, a wide enough opening for a red river to come rushing out. Right when Jean reached the open door, the werewolf snagged her back in, its tight grip sunk straight into her fragile flesh. "No!" she cried. The monster turned around. A brief taunt of deep breaths and sloppy saliva hit Jean's face. She cringed in helpless fear. She knew she was fucked, and all she could do was scream and scream again. The werewolf went to town on her vulnerable face. A machine of chomping ensued, the monster's mouth quicker and messier than a blender. Jean's screams died even as the remnants of her mouth kept twitching. Her flesh, an all-you-can-eat buffet, devoured in mere seconds. As the werewolf finished literally defacing my classmate, I reached out and grabbed a gun. I staggered to my feet. Through tears, my gaze strayed towards the window. The lift cord for the blinds was well within reach. Victorious, the monster threw down Jean's body. She landed with a splat near all of the others. Now, all of their blood intertwined, the 5 bodies laying side by side in a prep cemetery. I stared at the werewolf. Deep down I knew I'd never seen it before. This wasn't the monster that killed my family, or at least I didn't think it was. My trembling hand did its damnedest to hold the gun in a tight grip. "Patrick!" I yelled out, my tone strong and steady for once. Drawn to my voice, the creature confronted me. Even behind the terrifying exterior, I knew Patrick recognized me. His eyes always gave away his emotions, even when they were red instead of green. Breathing heavy, Patrick stepped towards me. His ominous footsteps splashed through the multiple red puddles. I pointed a gun right at him, but who was I kidding? Patrick didn't even flinch, much less slow down. He knew I couldn't pull the trigger. I took a deep breath. I wiped away my tears. "I love you," I said to him. Reaching out, I pulled the cord. Like a dropped curtain, the blinds whisked straight down. The full moon was blanketed. Through the darkness, I heard Patrick howl in pain, heard his anguished cries. Terrified by the noises, I stumbled towards the desk. I struggled before finally turning on the lamp. There was Patrick, cowering a few feet away, weakened yet alive, and in human form. Exhausted by the transformation, Patrick looked at me with those green eyes, and somehow he now looked even sexier. More radiant. I guess those revealing ripped clothes may have helped. "Patrick!" I yelled in excitement. I dropped the gun and rushed towards him. "Babe," he said. A weak smile crossed his lips. I hugged him. An embrace for the ages. "Oh my God, I'm glad you're okay." Amused, Patrick looked at me. "You ain't hugged me like that in a long time." I blushed and struggled to tell him what needed to be told. "Look, I need to tell you." Still smiling, Patrick traced his smooth hand along my face. "I already know, babe." Shockwaves rushed through me. "What?" "I guess we're both have our little secrets." Patrick's grin remained. Yet it wasn't taunting or vile, but comforting, supportive like he always was. "I don't know," I finally said. "I've never told anyone." "And you don't need to," Patrick responded. He stroked my hair. "I know you killed them. I know you did it, Ash." And he was right. The whole town was right. The ticking teenage time bomb that was Ashley Nelson had finally exploded. And Jodi Arias' meltdown led to me massacring my family, my entire family. Sure, I'd tried to suppress those painful memories, and in some ways, maybe my werewolf story was true. Maybe Patrick had given me a helping hand that night. But amidst the immense anger, I couldn't remember much. Honest. All I did was give Patrick a knowing smile. His secret was safe with me, and mine with him. "You don't have to tell me shit, babe," Patrick said in a deep, sexy voice, smirking. He leaned in closer, a rebellious twinkle in those emerald eyes. "I know what it's like to get frustrated, to fight back." "Like tonight?" I quipped. Patrick chuckled. "Hey, I did that for you." He motioned toward the bodies surrounding us like scattered rice and bouquets of flowers at a wedding. "I knew what they were going to do." He caressed my face. His mere touch melted my heart. "I couldn't let them hurt you, Ash. You know I couldn't." My smile grew even wider. No one had ever stuck up for me like that. Not even myself, and now I had a werewolf on my side. "I struggled with the same issues, babe," Patrick went on. "I know." Patrick's eyes pierced into mine. "And I know what can help." Reflective, I looked back towards the big window where the full moon awaited us. "If you just let me do one bite, you'll be like me," he said. "You'll be confident." Shh. Shushing him, I put a finger to Patrick's lips, flashed him my own sly smile. "You don't have to say no more." In that moment, I knew I'd found my werewolf soulmate, and now I wanted to join. After all, I'd always had a hard time saying no, so why stop now? Wow, fantastic story there from the author rhonnie14. As ever, please do let us know down below in the comments what you thought. Please do like and share. It really does help build the channel and our community further. And of course, don't forget to hashtag TeamFEAR. As I've mentioned on a few videos or posts on my social media, have entered this year's Evil Idol 2019. As soon as I get some more details on how you guys can vote for me and support that, obviously I'll release that and announce that as soon as possible. So do keep a lookout for that, and of course, above all, remember, be safe, not sorry.